Welcome to the Remodeler Success Podcast, a show created to inspire kitchen and bath industry professionals to achieve optimal success in their remodeling business. Your host, Dennis Oz, is the author of the book, Remodel Your Digital Marketing, an integrated online marketing guide for kitchen and bath remodelers. He's also the founder of RTA Marketing, a pioneer digital marketing agency for the remodeling industry. On each episode, Dennis will sit down with industry leaders to talk about their processes, the lessons they learned, and how to find success in remodeling.
Welcome back to the Remodeler Success Podcast, where we dive into remodeling world and bring you the pioneer speakers from the industry. Today's guest brings a powerful blend of business, purpose, and hands-on industry experience. And so excited because today I'm hosting a licensed general contractor with a background in accounting. Yes, very interesting. We'll talk about it. I have some really interesting questions. And also he's a certified remodeler of Ranney and also a managing partner of a respected design and build firm in North Atlanta. He is also leading a tech company that helps remodelers automate and optimize their operations. There are so many things to cover today. Please welcome to the show, Peter Ranney. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Glad to have a chat.
Oh, yeah. Just before we dive into the questions and everything, could you please introduce a little bit of yourself?
Yeah, sure. Peter Ranney. I live in Woodstock, Georgia. My business is located in Roswell, Georgia, which is a northern suburb of, most people know, Atlanta, Georgia. And been operating this business for almost 15 years. Underwent a consolidation. Some people call it a merge. Technically a consolidation with another remodeling company about 2 years ago. And that was a whole learning experience. I'm sure we'll chat some about that today. But other than that, married, have one son. We do a lot of family activities together, try to go as many long weekends, lake boating, all that kind of stuff. And I also operate a nonprofit that predates my construction company, actually. Sunshine on a Rainy Day. We renovate homes for children with special needs. We've done almost 250 projects to date with that.
This is amazing. We'll also talk about that today. But let me start with one of the things that I really would like to learn more about. Switching from accounting to construction isn't like really everybody's game, and it's not something that you hear every day.
Yeah.
But it gives you, of course, a unique perspective about like in both numbers and job sites. So you have both muscles, I would say. What pushed you to make that move?
Well, I was bad at it, ultimately, my dad, like most people in construction, right? You're kind of brought into it with a family member. So my dad was a framer, moved into general construction as I was gotten into high school, and really at that point, to me, construction didn't really have an appealing, career track or anything. And I like numbers. Accounting really is probably less numbers. It's a lot of process stuff. Like you do this, then you do that, then you do that. And so when I got into school, I liked accounting and studied accounting, got my degree. I was a tutor for athletes, things like that. So I liked it. I was good at it. When I got my first job, I realized I don't like this at all. And so I worked in accounting for about 7 years, worked in CPA firms, worked for a couple companies where I was kind of the in-house accountant kind of person. And really the transition for me, kind of my background, obviously growing up in construction, learned a lot with my dad. Now I'm not going to say I always enjoyed being on the job site back then, but definitely picked up a lot of things. And then when my wife and I was working in accounting, my wife and I started the nonprofit, and that really started my transition back into the construction world now as an owner.
Well, after seeing all your background in the industry, folks, if you just Google Peter's background, you will see so many amazing things happen in the past. For example, I would like to also talk about these two brands you also kind of mentioned. We know that you merged two brands, and it's one of them was the Remodeler, and the other one was Wideman Remodeling, right?
Correct.
I'm sure it's more than a paperwork. So it's just like you're blending two companies together. You're blending cultures, systems, even client trust. What did you learn through that process?
Well, we're still learning. It's about 2 years since then. It's been the interest. I mean, it's like we were naive to some degree and thinking you can take these two great companies and bring them together, and it's that is really challenging at first. The culture was drastically different. We did more or less the same thing, did the same jobs, served very similar clients. We went about it two totally different ways. And so a lot of that was just, building the trust. So my business partner, Scott, we started Ranney Blair. We had been friends previous to starting a company. We always just got along really well, and we certainly had, call them disagreements or, things to discuss, nothing really that serious as far as, being bad, but now you got a new person, new personality. So not only the culture of the people, but the culture of our leadership and who's in charge, who's responsible for what, who has authority for what. And we're still navigating some of that, to this day. But what we've found ultimately, what the purpose of the consolidation was, is to improve the client experience, and that was the commonality that has kept this moving in the right direction. Because consolidations don't always end well, and that's not our goal. We want to end well, and what we really found is, while we serve similar clients, we went about it different ways, and that was the push to make sure we were doing it the same way. So that comes down to the language you use, the approach we take, the documents we use, how our team thinks about client experience, and it's totally shifted my viewpoint, and it's been a great thing for the company, and more importantly for our clients. What our clients get now, I think, is exceptionally better than what they got at Weidman or at Ranney Blair.
Wow, this is amazing to hear, because I am sure that our listeners today, they also are thinking about, maybe they are just right now experiencing some sort of like a transitional period, that you are maybe just switching one brand to another, maybe just blending those. And thank you so much for this information, for sharing. Just
Yeah.
would like to take the conversation to the design build model, because this is a concept not a lot of consumer really understands, because when they need a design build company, they just go to Google or ChatGPT and just Google for remodeling companies. But design build model is more like, it's sales and design and production, and they have it all in sync too.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the client experience that really falls apart. And how does your sales process support that alignment today?
Well, we had a lot of early conversations with our clients. At that time, they're prospects, right? We're trying to evaluate, are they a good fit? And what we find, and I actually talk to people every week, like most people, right? They have an idea how they should buy a remodel, and they view contractors as we just go build stuff. It's like, I just need you to come and build me an addition. Okay, well, why are we building an addition? Why do we need an addition? And so we talk a lot about the approach and how people, is design build a good fit for you, because it's not always a good fit for people, and that's okay. But we want to really work this idea of, as a design build, something going back to kind of the consolidation we went through, is this idea of, we are seeking clients that are open to options. And so if someone calls and has a really good idea what they want, they don't need design build, they need a contractor who can go execute their idea. And so for us, it was this exploration of, we're going to show you options, we're going to show you at least three options, sometimes more. That's not typical in our world, especially if people come working with architects, they iterate off of an option. And so from very start, we're talking about the approach, how we're going to work together, and how, because if they have an approach, the client has an approach that they want to take, and then we have an approach we want to take, it might work, but we've walked down a well-worn path, and then we want to bring them along. And it's my job, I do primarily sales for the company, it's my job to guide them down that path and introduce the appropriate players at the right time, the design people, production people, project managers, all those engineers, whoever. And so it's really a conversation of like, what is going to work well together. And again, we know how we want to do it. So if a client is open options, that's a great opener for us, saying, great, we can show you things that you haven't thought about before, because how would you have? You've never remodeled. Maybe you've done a remodel 15 years ago. We think about these things all the time. So ultimately, we are really interested now in like the problems, the objectives, the background of the project, versus just going straight to a solution, right? Because clients call you and go, hey, I want you to do my kitchen. Why are we doing your kitchen, right? You really have a laundry, mudroom, garage problem. So let's fix those things, which might end up being a kitchen project too. So that's kind of the approach that we're taking now more in our design build.
This is such an engineered process, and thank you so much for the golden nuggets. I would like to ask you a follow-up question here. Well, what's your process then? Like, if someone, just like you said, they called, they said they need a new kitchen, how do you qualify? And then how do you, let's say, if it's a good lead or it's just a good project that you like to take on, how did you just continue from there?
Well, we take an interesting approach, and I talk about this a lot when people ask me to speak at different events and things like that. But one of the things that we talk about internally is not qualifying a budget, because ultimately, if you're not our client, it doesn't matter if if you have the money or not. It doesn't matter, right? We're not a fit. So the overall approach that we take is we generally have like 7 questions that we want to get information about, right? Have you just tell me about the project? Have you remodeled before? Have you considered moving if it's a larger project? Because remodeling is a very expensive, hard way to change your house. It can be very rewarding and fulfilling, right? So have you moved? Uh, what are the things you're looking for in a contractor? What have you done to prepare for this project, right? These are kind of uncovering things about their thought process of, well, we've been thinking about doing this for 3 years and I've got Pinterest boards abound, or it uncovers, hey, I've already talked to 5 other contractors and you're telling me this, that, and the other. So it allows for much better and deeper conversations. But after we get the initial call, we do a 2-step kind of due diligence period together. We do a home visit, kind of traditional. Uh, Typically, that goes. We sit down first. We do not want to go into the area of work first. I want to understand again the challenges, objectives, the problems we're trying to solve versus just walking into the space. So we do the home visit. We invite them back at a second appointment to our showroom, and that's where we really take a deeper dive into our approach. And again, getting alignment, right? We're trying to get agreement from. A lot of people talk about expectations, and that's okay. Like the idea that I think is okay, but it's not. Expectations is me telling you what's going to happen, and that's okay. Let's get agreement, right? If people are familiar, like a Sandler sales kind of idea, it's that similar concept of let me explain how we work together, and then you agree that this is okay. This is what we're going to do together. It's talking about agreements. We tell them and ask them, we will design something likely, very likely, almost guaranteed above your desired budget. Do we have permission to do that? Right now, we've opened the gate to allowing this design process to take place, because you can design to a solution or you can design to a budget. Again, another conversation we have with clients, and it's not about trying to spend more money at all. My goal really is to spend less money for the client and get the most out of it. And so these are all like deeper conversations. Obviously, you can't just necessarily, we need that's a whole nother podcast probably. But so we do the home visit, do all that. Then we use a retainer model. We do a 2-step retainer process. First being conceptual development. We get the go ahead. So we do all the 3 drawings and all that good stuff. We produce a pricing package. We present to the client. They give us go ahead. Okay, great. We move to second step. They give another retainer payment. And that's when we flesh out all the details of the project, the color, the style, the material. Maybe there's some other nuanced stuff we got to figure out, like, cabinetry details, things like that. And then from there, we kind of move into mobilization. And this is really the whole design build, right? It's a whole logistical operation. And we have like 11 or 12 employees now. So it's, trying to get everybody in line to as we move this thing down the manufacturing assembly. So yeah, we go through the final definition. Of course, we go to contract. We've actually just changed our contract process. Now we actually invite them back in. I'm a very tech person. I own a tech company, but we print the contract. We print it out, and it's a formalized meeting. Let's come in. Let's sign it. That's the purpose, and that's again that we have an agreement. When we come in and do this meeting, we're going to execute the contract. So it's a lot of this. You can see a lot of agreement, a lot of upfront, a lot of. It's my job as a salesperson. I think everybody has a job as a salesperson, is to explain to the client what's going to happen next. It's not their job to know our process, because heck, we barely even understand our process sometimes as we were iterating it through each week. So that's kind of a long-winded answer, I guess. But yeah.
I definitely understand when you say it's not their job to understand your process, and I would say that's a really great quote from this episode. I will probably take this out and just create a short video out of it. So I really like that.
Yeah.
Well, Peter, I know that you're looking at the business as a whole, and you are experiencing different departments and also different functions of the business. And our companies, remodelers, they hit so common walls when they grow. And sometimes it could be inconsistent leads, or could be pricing mistakes, or
Yeah.
maybe when they're building the team, there might be some poor delegation over there. Since you are speaking in the events and you're sharing a lot of your knowledge to the other people, what patterns do you see most often with these type of businesses?
I mean, I think the single thing that I always find is people have cognitive biases and kind of walls built in their own mind about what is or is not. I can't hire good people because of this, that, and the other. I can't get the clients I want, right? So it's really, the execution it's like doing it is not the hard part, right? We are all very capable contractors and doers, but it's stuck in the mental thing, right? My employees can't do it the way that the way that I want it done, right? They only get it 80% done. I would do it 100% and do it 3 times faster. Yeah, of course you would, right? It's like we always think we can do things faster and more efficient. So that's the single thing, right? Remove like the barriers in your mind about like what it is. Now, I would say that too. It's like also don't be coveting like, oh, that business has like this much revenue and this. That's their setup. Like everyone chases top line, and that's great. You got to have top line to have bottom line, but build a business that's good for you, whatever your goals are personally. But yeah, there's a lot to discuss there for sure, but that's the main thing I see.
And it's really interesting to see that, especially when we have seen some exponential hockey stick growth. I would call it hockey stick growth. Sometimes it happens
Yeah.
just because your market is right, and sometimes you just
Hmm.
have the correct attitude, and clients are really ready to do.
Yeah.
That's where you see the most problems. And thank you so much just for enlightening us and giving us this really important, I would say, the golden nuggets from your experience. And thanks so much for this one. Let's take our conversation to the marketing talk a little bit. Marketing feels like a really black hole because sometimes we waste ad spend. Maybe sometimes we are chasing the wrong type of client.
Yeah.
What's your biggest struggle with it right now?
Well, I think for talking about the consolidation is who is our client, right? Even though we serve very similar people, we had to have you can't market, you can't sell effectively if we don't even know who we are and who we are serving. And so that's really the first part for anyone to understand is what is your market? And your market's not where you live, right? Because your market's the people who know about you. And so you got to figure out who knows about you, who's calling you, right? Who's in contact with you, and then does your services actually match what they want? You can't go do a design build and I don't know, picking on somewhere in Alaska where there's 200 people in town. Like that's not an effective business model. So certainly those have to align and match. And for marketing, it's a scary proposition because there's so many ways to get burned. But I would say is the number one way to market is take care of your clients, right? There's no other way. Like you get to enter a project and they want, call it a couple $100 of things fixed. Maybe it's their fault, maybe it's your fault, maybe it's whoever knows. Just fix it. That's the cheapest marketing you can ever do, right? It's like take care of clients, number one. We've taken an approach, kind of a two-prong approach where we really focus on SEO. We just found in the Atlanta market, there weren't a lot of companies really doing SEO well. And it's something that I read a book, They Ask You Answer by Marcus Sheridan. I'm sure it's been out for years, but it just really changed my mindset of like people's consumers in general, especially consumers in general. Right? We all have fears. But you're standing in a Target or Walmart or wherever. You're on Amazon. You're afraid like, oh, I could get it cheaper. I could whatever it is. And so the They Ask You Answer really took us down this idea of like SEO, which is really about answering the questions that prospects clients have. And if you look at our website in particular, right, it's really geared towards like that thing. And we've really dove deeper into the services, like what are the fears of a kitchen remodel? What are the fears of a whole house remodel? Can I live there? What's all that kind of stuff. So the SEO is one part for sure. And we take much more of like a local, call it old school strategy. We print out a newsletter. This is all kind of consolidation. We're going to start sending them out. So we'll actually have to print a newsletter. And when I go to a home visit, I take like 4, 5, 6 copies of our previous newsletter. So that's like old school strategy, this printed idea. But your marketing, I mean, it's also so entangled with your sales process. So it's like if you dress a certain way, you look a certain way, you drive a certain car, drive a truck. I drive a car. I choose not to drive a truck because I want to show up and look different. That's part of marketing. I know I wear a hat. That's because I don't have hair and my head gets cold in the winter. But it's like wear a hat and I wear a collared shirt and I don't play golf, but I wear golf kind of looking slacks, right? It's kind of like I don't wear tape measure, on purpose. Like that's part of our marketing strategy of I don't want to look like a contractor. I want to look like your design build partner to help facilitate your project, not come in there and I'm not knocking anybody, but the big boots and we take our shoes off and those. So it's marketing is definitely it's like a broad across everything, but you got to know who you are and know who you serve. Then you can really kind of focus on your strategy.
Wow, this is amazing. Well, when you just say you don't really would like to look like the contractor, because folks, again, if you are a design build model, people are looking for not someone to break the walls. People are looking for someone to delegate stuff and manage these teams to
Yeah.
end the project. And Peter, correct me if I'm wrong. We are talking about the projects with millions of dollars. Sometimes it's like really big project. Design and build project is not like more than just a contracting, more than just like electrical stuff or just like
Yeah.
it's all
Yeah.
mix of it, right? Do you think that we can see that in this way? That's why maybe you're just following that path when you're
Well,
just
even bigger, it's a relationship, right? Certainly we're talking a lot of money. It's a relationship in our business, right? We're selling mostly to women. And so we want to appeal in an authentic way, right? Appeal to women so I'm going in their home and they feel comfortable that they're allowing our business to come into their house as a guest, right? So that's definitely a part of it too. And I would say any female owned businesses or businesses with women that are kind of in the sales role, you have a leg up, massive leg up, right? Because you can appeal in a different way than I can as a male. But I do everything I can to show that we are here to take care of them and give them a service that is hopefully different than just a guy showing up in a big lifted pickup truck with the big construction boots and 3 tape measures on their hip and just kind of shooting out. It's kind of like, no, we want to be different. Listen and be curious.
amazing. Thanks so much for this very detailed explanation for this matter. Let's talk about AI. Right now, AI is almost everywhere, and there are a lot of, I would say, buzz about it. Like everybody's talking about it. And just would like to learn some of the best practices and some of the best use cases from you. I know we are using, it to automate follow-ups or analyzing job data or even writing a copy, right? How do you see it playing a real role in remodeling world today?
I know a lot of my contractor colleagues and friends have used it kind of initially in the sales process, right? They take the recording device, whatever it is, or I know one guy actually wears like a body cam, a little bit creepy for me, wearing like a body cam in someone's house. But that's a fashion, that's a way to do it. For me, I think there's like this. We use AI in our business for different, more internal, I guess some external, but I just think like whatever you do, just make sure it's authentic. Like I still handwrite notes, not because I have good handwriting or like to handwrite notes, but I want the client to know that I'm listening to them, and that's like a huge trust building exercise for a client. Because if it's just, hey, my AI is recording it and then I'll get back and whatever, do something with it, whatever it is, that's okay, right? There's a way to utilize that, but again, as long as it's authentic and has a purpose, I don't use that. I purposely take hand notes and I make a note, and as the client's talking to me, oh excuse me, I kind of write slow, so excuse me, it's kind of like as I jot these notes down, right? So it's positive reinforcement. I'm hearing you. So that's what I would say. If you're using AI, great. Don't use it as your only thing. Where I found value in AI for us is when we write a project summary letter. So after we meet with a client and they come to the showroom visit, I document all the notes into a letter. And so I've created a custom GPT, which anybody can do. You can go to Chat GPT or any of them really, but Chat GPT specifically, you can create your own GPT. So you can give it its set of instructions that it follows every time. And so I'll just kind of just really kind of caveman my notes in, and it puts into really nice, you got to review it, right? But it's really nice, very consistent. And so I can use that. We use it to write our scopes of work as well. Same thing, designers will put in kind of the gist of what we're doing, and then it'll format and put in by area, by trade, things like that. So I think that's a really effective way to use it. It's like anything, I wouldn't over rely on it. I mean, AI, I subscribe to an AI newsletter, and it's mind boggling how fast things are moving. So it's like, I think for our purpose, we're in a service industry by default. Like AI has a place to help supplement us and maybe help replace like a person or a role or task for someone. I wouldn't lean on it too much. I think being authentic and like a real human interaction is even more desired now.
I totally hear you because let's say you need help for banking, and every time you call banks, you just find someone just talking to you,
Yeah.
maybe in like in scripts and everything. But there is a bank, if it's just really promoting their service, when you call, they will answer your phone. So you'll find a human. Maybe it's just in this era, could be, we could say people are not really frustrating talking to a bot just because it's a bot. Maybe it's not really helpful. Maybe we are just really making AI so much like we are putting in this place where it's not there right now.
Yeah, it can't reason like a human being. And I think if I've considered using AI for our after hours phone system, and I think that'd be okay as long as hey, you called Rainbow Whiteman. I am an AI assistant, and but again, it has to be helpful. If it's not
You let them
helpful,
know in the beginning, right? This is an AI
right?
assistant. You let them know
Yeah,
because it's after hours, folks. This is a great idea. And it's really good, great to test some ideas. Maybe you're gonna like this idea really well, and maybe you're gonna start using that 24/7. Who knows? Because everybody's business is different, and Peter here really values authenticity here. Maybe you will find it so helpful. So let's talk about it. How do you use that automation system after hours?
so right now, we don't have any automated. Well, I say any. We have the only automated response that we have to a client is an after hours if they call or text. Say, hey, the office is closed. Someone reach out. So that's the only other than that. We have zero automation for client facing communication, and that's very intentional because again, we want this authenticity and client communication, like it should be valued and be meaningful. So we don't have any of that. So that's it. I have considered we use open phone and have a service called I think Sauna, and I toyed around a little bit and not not only is open phone fault, I didn't figure out the right way to use it because I actually called it and said, hey, let me talk to one of my designers. And, his name Brett. Let me talk to Brett. Oh, sorry, I can't do it. It's like you can't even help me. So I'm like, well, that's not helpful. I would say the main when I think about any of this stuff, it's like one question you could ask yourself to help maybe formulate your final answer is how does it benefit the client? And if having AI benefits the client, okay, great. It's a good tool for you. But if it doesn't, who does it benefit? Right? Because if it doesn't benefit the client, why are we doing it?
Great point about that. And everything that we do is just we have to be client centric about that. And thank you so much for sharing this. I would say it's a total different point of view, I'm sure, for our listeners. Folks, I'm sure that you're enjoying this conversation as much as I do. We are not going to let Peter go because I have one last question for him. Then we're going to wrapping up this conversation. And thank you so much, Peter. This is a great conversation. Thank you so much for sharing all
Great.
of this.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Let's talk about growth because growth looks like, I would say it looks great outside, but inside it can feel really chaotic, especially for remodelers who stuck on doing work and running the businesses and here and there. What's your one piece of advice you would give to someone in that position?
I mean, back to before, like don't build the business that you want. And if you love working on the tools and that's something you don't want to give up, that's fine. Maybe in that case you need to hire someone who can run the office or something in that example. But just as I go to different conferences, I'm involved in different Facebook groups. I talk to different modelers, and that it's you're looking at they have this, they have that, they have this showroom that you know build your business. Don't just and the top line chasing top line can be such a bad thing, right? Because then to your point earlier, you start missing pricing, you got bad estimates, you're chasing the wrong customers, and then back to marketing, so like bad customers referral, bad customers, so you got to break the bad customer cycle so you can get good customers who refer your ideal good customers. So build the business you want, and don't be afraid to just go out there and implement the things that you think are going to be effective for your business. But again, like the mental biases and cognitive biases that people put in front of them of things, if it's like, I'm sure I can't remember who said it, but it's like, if you think it's not possible, it's not possible. It's like, so you stopped yourself before it's even a thing to produce in real life. So, be open to ideas, be open to different things, but again, know what you want. And for me personally, I want time freedom and money freedom, right? So I want to have more time with my family, and I want to have the ability to pay for things that I want to do. I'm not looking to buy an island or a jet. I just want to have a nice time. I want to be able to take my family to nice places and do nice things and have my business run effectively to be able to serve my clients in a great way. So that's my goal.
Well, Peter, thank you so much for sharing this and dropping this massive knowledge to our show today. I cannot thank you enough, because I'm sure all our listeners and whoever is watching this one today really feel enlightened after the things that you have shared. And thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Folks, that was another episode of Remodeler Success Podcast. We're going to see you next time. Goodbye.
If you would like to generate more leads, please visit rtamarketing.com to get a copy of the book, Remodel Your Digital Marketing, an integrated online marketing guide for kitchen and bath remodelers. This has been another episode of the Remodeler Success Podcast. Thanks for listening.